Let's get it.
Welcome to Grown Men, Intellectual Radio. Today's topic is men dealing with grief and pain. My name is James Peak Jr., substance abuse counselor. I have two guests today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Yeah, my name is Joshua Cotton. I'm the founder and president of Grown Men, and I'm here today to be a part of this conversation as well. And my brother here, his name.
Yes, my name is Mark Cotton. I am also one of the leaders of Grown Men.
Okay, welcome. Okay, Mr. Josh Cotton. Grief is painful, correct?
Grief is painful.
So, if it's okay with you, can you give an example, time in your life you dealt with grief and how did you deal with it? And if anything changed with you, could you describe that?
So I'm gonna give you all two examples. I got a funny story and then more of a serious story. I got a hat on right now, but I grieved, and this is so serious. I grieved losing my hair. Woo, that was tough for me to just accept that. I was one of them guys that I had a plan. My plan wasn't to lose my hair. I bet you that. Because when I lost it, it started receding and I started seeing it go back. And before this, I had a dream I wanted some locks, and it didn't happen that way. So I started having like going all sideways and stuff in my head. Man, there was a time where I couldn't let it go. And there's so many brothers I know like that literally you see the hairline receding and they struggle with like, I can't let it go. I'm gonna get it airbrushed. I'm gonna keep pulling it back. They go from a forehead to a six head and all that stuff. So that was a interesting time. Another time when I felt grief is the passing of my mother. And this happened back in 2019. She passed from years and years of dealing with cancer. So that was a time where accepting it for me was different because I didn't know how to deal with grief at the time. And it took years for me to process it before I was able to process grief. I just put it all in, stored it all up, and just like, I just got to keep moving. I got life to deal with. I don't have time to just sit here. First, it was, I got to help take care of all her stuff that she had going on and help get everything ready. And then after that, I just never took time to deal with grief and sit in it and acknowledge that it was painful. So it was a tough time for me.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Mark, what about you when you dealing with grief? What was it a painful event for you, so to speak? And how did you deal with it? And could you include in this what sometimes be the biggest challenges for men to express grief, which is pain? What's the challenge that comes with that?
Sure. So I'm Josh, brother. First of all, Mark Cotton. Um, so when I grieved, my mother passed, right? And my mom, when it comes to my mother's, man, me and my mom, that was my G. That's my girl, right? But when she passed, it was hard to explain. It's still hard to explain to this day. But the fact thing that I can remember, it was someone that was once here and not here anymore. That feeling of not being able to go and talk to that person, grab that person, and say, "Hey, what's going on with you?" And they come back and say, "What's going on with you?" That's never happening ever again. So when that happened, when she passed, the whole thought of getting beyond that, I can never ever do that again here on this earth. And I think part of what people are going through, what men are going through, is just they allow themselves to deal with that alone. They allow themselves to go into those dark spaces and not talk it over with people. I think is a good thing that you never grieve by yourself. If you're grieving by yourself, then you are allowing a lot of pains, a lot of things that other people can show you or just help you with. People that you love can help you go through that time.
Okay, thank you, Mark. You made a statement about a comment about going to that dark place. Uh, a dark place can be associated with just going to a room, and I think sometimes for men, we got to realize that it's okay to come out of that dark place. Uh, we are used to being in a certain space. Some of our core beliefs, we are taught that we supposed to hold it all in. Uh, we ain't supposed to talk about nothing that's really hurting us. And grief is a detachment. You being detached from something that you was attached to. That's painful. So pain is associated with grief. So sometimes grief shows up in different ways, gentlemen. So, Mr. Josh Cotton,
Mhm.
what's an example or a way that you possibly have displayed your pain? It showed up. Sometimes it showed up in, for example, working a lot. Some people get involved with substances, things of that nature. So, what's an example of you expressing your pain in different ways without without talking about it?
So one, I talked about the grieving of my mother, but before that, the loss of my grandmother. Um, at that time, I had trouble understanding my identity in life, who I was. I struggled with my insecurities. So when that happened with the losing of my grandmother, I went to Hoenn. You could say I was um just anything I seen, anything I wanted, like that was the target. It was no focus on goals in life. It was no focus on things that was constructive. It was more so um, dealing with life substance abuse. So whether it was alcohol, whether it was using weed, those are things I used to deal with my own pain.
Thank you, Josh. They say we wear masks, right, gentlemen? We they say life is a stage, and we all are performers. You know, they say in life that we be on stage performing for the audience, which is society. But when the cameras go off and the lights and curtains, and you got to go home, you back to your true reality, which is some painful stuff too. So, Mr. Mark, when the cameras and lights go off, you spoke about the pain of losing mama, right? In the past, what's some moments that how did you deal with all that when the cameras and lights was off?
Very good question. I want to go back before I explain that. I have to explain what I meant by dark places because that has a lot to do with cameras going, lights going off. Dark places could mean anything. It's much more than a dark room. It's your emotions that you are attacking, usually negative emotions, and you are dealing with those negative emotions by yourself. Dark spaces usually can grow into something more than it should be. And if you don't allow love in, some people that you trust to help you through those times, then it can turn into something more, something bigger. It can grow into another page of other, avenues of your life. Now, when the lights go off, no one's around. People that can't help you, don't love you. What do you do when you're grieving? Very important. Something that you shouldn't do is to allow yourself to sit and waddle and deal with pains on your own. And it's very easy to do that. It's very easy to just think about a loved one that's not there. Uh, like I said before, my brother, this is my brother, Willie Cotton. I'm Mark Cotton. And he brought up granny pass. I want to talk a little bit about that. When our granny passed, understand mom was there, mom was mom, she loved us, but granny was the one that raised us. So when granny passed, that was also my girl too. I remember that day I was working at Northwestern and I went to work and I didn't get no work done. And my boss came to me, "What is wrong with you? Why you sitting in that corner? You can't, are you gonna do any work today?" And I'm like, I don't understand, but I just cannot get past this moment. I just keep going back into thinking. And you got to understand, grieving takes time to be able to deal with. If you don't allow a grieving process to be dealt with properly, then it's going to spill over in other ways. And that's what I mean by the lights went off. When no one's around you, are you healed? Are you over that point? And it's good to talk to somebody, get a therapist, go through times when you can allow somebody to help you through that. Otherwise, you can walk and go into another place, another space in your life, and be dealing with that heavy pain.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. I got one more question for you, if it's okay. So, what helped you, so to speak, move forward with your pain? Because I noticed you said uh, you was at work and you couldn't get through the day. So, moving forward, what helped you move forward?
Well, one of the things that helped me was realizing first that I was in pain. Um, Something super important. You got to know when you're going through something, or if you don't realize it, then hopefully you're around some people that can tell you, "Hey, Mark, something's going on. Do you want to talk?" Because if you first, that's the first, just what I think the first step is that you know that something's wrong, something is not right with you. And after you realize, okay, I need help, I've gotten to this point in my life and I've gone this far and I'm still dealing with this. After you realize that, then you can take some steps. Maybe you need to talk to a counselor. What I did was I just got around people that loved me. I remember when my mom passed, I was at a church that, they just loved on me real heavy. And I came into a crowd that just came to church one day, and it's like they attacked me, they swarmed me. And it was about a good 10, 15 people laying hands on me and praying for me. And while that happened, I just broke out in tears. And it's amazing when people that love you comes around you and helps you through that tough time. You need that love, that conditional care. You need that. So that's part of the way I got over it, is just being around those that love me.
Well, thank you, Mark. Okay, Josh, it's often been said, right, that we as men, I call it a check-in. Somebody say, "What's up? You okay?" And we'll say we okay, and we really not. Okay, so sometimes, do you think sometimes it's okay just to say I'm not good? Whatever you feeling, is it okay just to say them things? And do you think that help a person learn to accept maybe the loss, painful event, if you can be honest with yourself about how you really feeling in that moment? And if so, what has helped Mr. Joshua Cotton move forward? Because I know losing a mother is something that you learn to accept.
You gave me a lot to say in this moment. One, I didn't have the same experiences as my brother Mark. I crashed out. So he said he went to a church and he felt love. I kept running and kept running and kept running until I came into some situations that um, my life was spiraling out of control. So I'm happy that he found God and he found people to lay his hands on him. But I dove into my work, I dove into relationships, and sometimes the choices I made, now to look back at it, it helped me to grow and be a better person. But I could have got so far beyond if I would have just created this community around people that around me that loved me for me, and stop running. I ran from the problems, ran from the issues. I ran from feeling the emotions that I was literally going through. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with it at the time. I didn't know how to grieve. So running was my answer. Running was my comfort. Like I could just keep doing what I'm doing. I don't have to talk to somebody about this. I don't have to feel it. I choose not to accept these emotions. So your other question about building, how, how do you build? How do you change? What was your question?
What helped you move forward? What did you do to help you move forward? Again, when we lose our mother, parents, both parents, but it's something about a mother that's different. Uh, you say you crashed, you was running. So, what was the motivation, so to speak, Josh, for you to stop running and learn how to deal with it?
Somebody must have been praying because it wasn't me. It must have been God. Somebody must have seen I was struggling and they was praying. And I think God sometimes can intervene on your behalf when he sees that you're struggling making a change. Literally, it wasn't until I got played to the player got played when I was ready to like, okay, this must not be working out. It wasn't until I got my feelings hurt till I was willing to say, look, this must not be the path. I must not be a good player because this is not working. My feelings, my ego was attacked. And then I was like, I struggled, crashed out, and then I just stayed silent for a while until I was able to recover. That was a bad way to go about it. That was a time when I was lonely and depressed. And it just took time for me to crawl out of that. So I did it a difficult way. And I did it a way that I see so many young men are struggling, trying to figure it out on their own without getting the actual help they need.
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying that it took something to force you, so to speak, to stop. You no longer
Yeah.
could run.
Yeah.
And I think by you not able to
Crashing into a
run
wall.
anymore, it put you in a position, Josh, where you had to really look at yourself and really feel it. And sometime in life, the things that appear to be negative or hurtful, sometimes is what we need
Yeah.
to get on the right track, so to speak. And I'm gonna put myself in this conversation. Losing my mother was painful, uh, but I think sometimes as men, we got to recognize that we have to learn how to let someone in, and we have to have a reason to want to do better. It could be your children, a career, uh, things of that nature. So for me, it was my daughter. You know, uh, Again, I'm a substance abuse counselor, and for a long time, James used substances to deal with situations. But like losing my mother, that's sort of when the light went off. The light went off, and I was put in a position where I had to think about my daughter, and that helped me learn how to stop running from everything. You know what I mean? So a lot of men don't have a support system, or they don't have the right tribe around them to give them the motivation. Uh, I call it a safe space, to go to that safe space to learn how to talk about what's really going on with them. You know, because again, we've been taught we got to make it look good, we got to be strong, and sometimes all we need is a hug, but it has never been displayed, showed to us. So when you're able to really express what's really going on with you, that's a sign of true strength. You think about where you gentlemen are at right now in your lives. Everything you've been through, you had two choices: to learn how to deal with it or let it take you out. So you all made a choice to do something different. You know what I mean? And I commend you guys for doing that. So, Mr. Mark Cotton, if you was to give a young man had the same experience that you had, 18, 19 years old, right? You know, we that age, we think we got all the answers. Based on your pain, everything you've been through, what suggestion or advice would you give them when it comes to dealing with a loss or just dealing with their pain to help them learn how to get past it?
So I would tell them, find somebody you trust, mother, father, sister, brother. Find somebody you trust. Be somebody in the church, somebody at your job. Find somebody you trust. Go and share with them what you're really going through. It could be a therapist, it could be a teacher. And then be honest with yourself and talk. For a while I couldn't look at pictures because I might, to this day I still struggle looking at pictures because it's just hard. Being realistically, it's hard. uh know yourself, well, what things you can handle and what things you can't. You might not be able to handle pictures, you might not be able to handle uh going in certain rooms where they were. uh Being realistic and talking to somebody and allowing that person to know, hey, this is what I'm really going through, I'm struggling with this, I need you to talk to me, and let it out there with that person so they can give you love back, because you need that love to break through that pain.
Thank you, Mark. Mr. Joshua Cotton again.
Mhm.
Uh, they say true pieces on the inside, right? Uh, some of us have storms brewing on the inside of us, right? Because we don't have any peace, because we ain't dealing with what's really going on. Uh, Sometimes we want it to look good. Man, I'm in pain. I ain't never addressed this. And some of us dealing with pain associated with grief is shame and guilt attached to that. So if you could have a conversation with mama right now, what would you tell mama?
Mm. When you spoke about the shame and grief that could be linked to grief, shame that could be linked to grief. Um, I think I would have to share with that I have to learn how to forgive myself. For a while, part of the reason why I couldn't deal with the grief was I felt like I have done so much that at some point I would probably just be gone. You feel like you go so far, you did so much, like there's no turning back now. And I couldn't forgive myself for my own past. And had to I would share that with my mom that I had to learn how to forgive myself. I had to learn how to build a relationship with her. Part of my struggle, and this is a safe place I feel like so I can share whatever with you all. Part of my struggle with my grief with my mom is that I didn't build the relationship that I wanted with her. So I felt shame related with the grief of she's passed, she's gone. Now I don't get that chance to build a relationship. And I probably would apologize for not trying to build it when she was here, but understanding that she already forgave me. It's not something she's holding against me. I'm holding it against myself. She's she was at peace with the relationship she had with me. I wasn't at peace with myself. So that was part of the insecurity issue I was talking about before that.
Okay. Thank you, Josh. I'm going to dive in one more time with this because I can relate to you about the shame, guilt part of dealing with grief, the loss of my mother. My mother didn't see me become the man that I am today. I sent her through some things through my drug addiction. Uh, and I believe that we carry things but I think we developed the skills to learn how to deal with it in a better way. Uh, I was able to have a conversation with my mother before she passed. Uh, and the last thing my mother told me is that she loved me. Uh, she said, I know you love me too. Because it's called direct amends, atonement. I was able to do that. Uh, in saying that, grief also can be a benefit that we use to motivate us to push forward and be a service to others, so to speak. So, Mark, in saying that, how did your grief, your pain, how has it motivated you to, so to speak, fulfill your purpose to move forward? The benefit of it.
Well, part of it is accepting and allowing myself to realize that I don't have to be afraid. Um, there's a lot of things that I'm still trying to tackle in life that I got to be honest, I struggle with for years. And part of it is this person is not no longer here no more to help me through that struggle. So I need to figure out how to do this regardless. I got to live on, I got to move on. If you don't do this, then who will? Mark has to do this. So as a I, part of it is just realizing that you gotta move. You gotta just pull up those bootstraps. Um there's a lot of things that my mom kind of like used to push me to do. She used to push me a lot of my jobs that I had in life. My mom kind of helped me to push me through. And after she was gone, I didn't have that safety net, that person that had my back, to remind me, hey, what you doing today? What you gonna do with this? So Mark kind of had to go out there and do it on his own. And the motivation that came behind me was just realizing that mom is no longer here now. Now it's Mark's time to just do what needs to be done. And I think that's just for me, that was just it, just realizing the truth of the situation. This has to be done. Otherwise, what's going to happen? Nothing. So if you want something to happen, you got to do something.
Thanks, Mark. It sounds like you're saying you had to get some acceptance.
Yeah.
It's often said that acceptance is the key to all our problems. When we can learn to accept things for what it is, a lot of things would, so to speak, change in our lives for the better. So, Josh, same question for you. How did that loss, that painful event, motivate you? What was the benefit? How did it strengthen you? What did you get from that to propel you in the right direction?
Initially, the loss was showed me the truth. Showed me that I had some holes in my life, had some gaps, relationship issues, some issues that I didn't build relationships, didn't communicate well. So it helped me to understand, like a gut shot, this is where you are. This is the truth. Um, you're terrible with communicating with others. You have issues with finishing things. So all those things that maybe someone was there to keep it, keep the glue together, solve all the issues. When that piece was gone from the puzzle, now I got to solve. Like some of them, Mark was saying, I had to figure out, solve some of those problems on my own. Things that we depend on a person to do, when they're missing out of that equation, now you're functioning life. You living life without that cushion, without that safety net. So similar to what Mark said, mine was more probably emotional than anything. The safety net was that person was there to give me, that you said, validation. That person was there to give me emotional um, build up, pouring into. And when that safety net was gone, and realizing that, wow, it's not a lot of people that I feel comfortable sharing, talking life with, that would support me. So just understanding that I was in a position where I didn't have a great community around me of people that loved and supported my life.
Yeah, it's a good point, Josh. Mark, I want to piggyback on what you said when you made the statement about you have to be honest with your reminders, so to speak, what you can deal with or can't deal with, even today in this current time. You say you still struggle sometimes with pictures, and honestly, that's okay. And I think that's real growth, and I think that's part of helping you move forward. Because I think sometimes, again, like I said earlier, we don't want to be honest how we really feeling. You know what I mean? Sometimes I have moments. It's okay. That's the human fact. That's an emotion that's part of us. And it's okay to feel things because feelings help guide you on what where you should go and what way you shouldn't go, so to speak. You know, in this moment, how you feeling, Mark? Eh, Just talking about this, what's the emotion you feeling right now?
I promise you, time doesn't heal everything. This is the fact. Uh, so like you said, knowing yourself. It takes time. It really does. It really takes time. And as you take time, I think a lot of the problem is a lot of people don't really know themselves. And let's be honest, I don't know myself. But I'm a man of God, and I pray. And one of the things I tell people all the time is in prayer, you got to ask those hard questions. That's part of knowing yourself. You got to ask those hard questions. How am I really doing? What's really going on with me? Am I really suffering or am I not? Uh, and when you asking those hard questions, you talk to somebody else? Tell someone else. Allow someone else to ask those hard questions or ask those hard questions to someone else. Where do you see me? Do I look like this? Or just being honest. They say you could take a picture of yourself, and sometimes from certain angles, if you take a picture of yourself, you can see how you really look. I think that's important. A lot of people need to just, snap that picture and see how everybody else see you. And it's important to also go to somebody else and ask them, how are things looking to me? Do I look like I struggle? Because I feel like I'm struggling. It's tearing me up, but I know how to hide it a little better now. It's important to just ask somebody else that's looking in on you how things actually are, and that's part of it, I think.
Appreciate that. We are men, and we want to be Superman. Hey, sometimes it's okay to be Clark Kent, to just be a regular person. Sometimes it's okay to say, I'm having a moment. Uh, so we go back to moments with our parents or, people who really meant something to us that we lost, and we reflect on those teachable moments, so to speak. For you, Josh, what was something that you could reflect back on that your moms gave you a statement, a quote, what have you, that you go back to when you have moments to help pull you up, so to speak, if I'm making sense of what I'm saying?
Yeah. So my mom, in a nutshell, was a workaholic. Anybody that know her No, she probably figure out how to work in her sleep if she could. She would have her body on autopilot. And that works for me because I enjoy moving in my purpose. We started a nonprofit as a support group for men, and in it, sometimes I feel like I'm done. I'm quit. I give up. I'm tired of helping, moving, trading, doing everything we do. And I sometimes remember how she would push through. She would overcome. She would, whatever issues, struggles she has, she was creative and would figure out a way to get past that struggle, to get past that moment. Because a lot of times our struggles are in that moment. It's not something that is lifetime struggle. It is the moment and you feel like I want to quit, I want to give up. And she might have felt it, but you never knew it because she would never say it. She would just like, we got to do this. We got to keep moving. I need you to get out here and get this done. So it was always moving, moving, moving. And I love that about her that she was able to teach us from her movement more than her words. We seen her action. We seen her constantly the drive that she had to accomplish the tasks that she set forth. So that's something I was motivated by.
So, Josh, so how many years have it been, if I may
She
ask?
passed in 2019, so this is 26, yeah. The Nova 19, yeah.
So
So
you look at what your stage of life right now, the things that you're doing as a man, uh, being a service to others from that time period to now. When you say you gauging yourself, like Mark said, you got to be able to look at that mirror. Do you think you're doing a pretty good job in dealing with the loss of your mother, or you've learned how to deal with your pain a lot better than you did several years ago? Can you see the growth?
I see the growth, but I know it's a constant daily it's work. It's not I'm not at the point where I feel confident that yeah, the grief is past me. I see it constantly. I see how I can slip back into a space of numbness. I can some days wake up and feel like I don't care no more. I'm done with this. And I have to be reminded by, I feel like what has helped me a lot is my spiritual life, my connection with God, and knowing that He's put me on earth for a purpose. And my job is purpose not over because I'm still here. And seeing my mom and her life and how she connected with God also was a great motivation. But my daily struggle is like I have to constantly depend on God and creating this group, the support group with the men that are around us in this community is also super helpful because I can call on any of my brothers anytime and just be real and open with them. Like, hey, look, I am so just tired today. I don't feel like it. I'm not feeling it. And I've created this community around me that is supportive and the guys and the brothers, they really like, hey, look, I know how you feel. I'm feeling it too sometimes. And it's great to have people that are not here to point a finger at you and not here to judge you, but just to listen sometimes. That's what's been super helpful.
Appreciate you, Josh. You know, no pain, no gain. Through my pain, and pain comes with life, I've gained a new perspective on why I should keep doing what I'm doing. I'm piggybacking off what you say, Josh, uh, because it has helped me understand others better. You know what I mean? Some people go through life and never have an opportunity, because I look at it as an opportunity to get uncomfortable, to have to face self. They got a free ride through life, and one day they have a serious accident and they never know how to deal with it because they never went through nothing to teach them how to deal with stuff. So it's only a loss, so to speak, or a traumatic experience if we want it to be. I believe that people leave us, but they also with us through our teachings, the way we live our life, and things of that nature. And we learn how to check ourselves. We learn how to be honest with ourselves, uh, and we learn how to be human. We learn how to take the Superman costume off and be Clark Kent and just be a normal person. So everything that we went through prepared us for a time like this, so we could be a light for those who, like Mark said, in that dark room. They see it, they might not understand it, but they see it. And as long as you could be a light, they could see something. Now, it's up to them to walk toward the light, but we got to always remember that we are light for others as men based on what we went through. And we got to understand that it's okay to extend ourselves for others, even though we went through something. Because some people, they're not going to extend their hand to nobody because they never dealt with their pain. And it's hard for them to, as they say, clap for others, support others' success, because they have let life and the pain of life, the grief, harden their hearts. And they continually wear those painful lenses, not realize you could put on another pair, the lens of love, of joy, understanding. You know, so we winning in this game of life. Uh, there's no ending. The game still goes on. And Josh, you said grown men, which we're a part of. You got a supporting cast. I call them your teammates. You got some people that you could pass that painful ball to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to carry it by yourself. You know, I admire the relationship that you and your brother have. Sometimes when pain is in the family, it pulls the family members apart. You have some family members, they come together. And again, we don't judge nobody experience. Uh, we be understanding because everybody ain't at the same place at the same time. So for me, I remain teachable, and I have to check myself too. And I'm always open to suggestions. So Mark, we was joking the other night. You are sort of you like everything to be in order. Is that something that you possibly carry from your late mother?
Not really. She was not the type of person that liked everything to be in order. I honestly, I'm not really all that orientated either. There's certain things that I keep in order just because I like that particular thing. But other than that, there's a lot of stuff that's a mess. But that being said, there are things that I do get from my mom, and that definitely like cheers up. One thing that my brother and I both share, our work ethic. We get that from my mom very strong. She like he said, she was a workaholic. That woman would work day and night. And I used to see her work, and I carried that on to other my job and my life and a lot of things that pushed me to do many things. As far as being organized with it, uh, it took a few things that I had to love, and I see it in a certain way, and I wanted the order out of it. So yeah.
Appreciate you, Mark. A highlight for me is that I noticed. Let me piggyback. Let me go back for a moment. My story is a little different because my mother adopted me, you know, but I was in her heart. And for me, I think that's something special and unique. Uh, but I believe I got this from my mom's and watching her, she was a giver. She would help anybody. My mother was a senior citizen. She raised 6 children as a widow. The name I carry is from her husband. So I thank God that I don't have a envious spirit. I don't like to see people do well. Because you got people who grew up with that mindset from their painful experiences. I just believe things happen for a greater reason, and I believe things happen not for us to keep for ourselves, but to share with others. Whether it's painful events, nothing on this earth is just for yourself, because you're going to get the benefit of it if you be willing to share it. Josh, you have shared your heart, your life, your experiences with individuals you haven't been knowing long. So, what was the motivation for you to do that based on everything you've been through? What was the motivation for you to want to do that for men?
Hmm. So one of the reasons why Grown Man was created because I felt men struggle with building relationships with others, whether it's their family, whether it's guys that they know, whether it's guys that they don't know. And I wanted one way I felt to connect with different people, to connect with brothers, is to sharing my story. A lot of people can connect with your story, they find it relatable, but your story is your authentic self. It's not something that you got to try to think of, something that changes. It's your story. When you get comfortable sharing your story with others, it helps people to see the authentic you, and they feel like they can connect with you. But yeah, just being comfortable with sharing that was one reason why I felt that I can talk with guys and feel like I'll tell you something else. I didn't feel comfortable joining, let's say, the average gang and fraternities and stuff like that. I had my own issues with it. I didn't want to join a fraternity because I feel like I ain't letting nobody beat me and then pay them. So I had my own issues with that. But I wanted to create a space where guys still feel like I need to talk to somebody. I'm going through something. And I want to share my story, but different places I have shared it with, I felt judgment. I felt like you messed up. You're gonna probably still keep messing up. And it doesn't make brothers want to share anymore. And they're going to, like you said, a dark space, a dark place or a corner, and they keep stuff to themselves. So my mission is to continue creating safe places for brothers that they feel like, hey man, I'm going through stuff, but I ain't got to keep it to myself. I can share my life and feel comfortable with it and feel like I can forgive myself. My own story. I want others to be able to share their story.
I like that, Josh. You know, they say a sign of true commitment is when you have an opportunity to go back to being how you used to be or dealing with stuff the way you used to be. There's no strings attached, nothing hanging over your head, nothing. And you choose to continually be on the path that you want. So, Mark, what kept you committed to moving forward after your painful experiences? You refused to go back. to that dark place, or when you're in that dark place, you don't want to stay there. So why were you so committed to that?
Like like I said before, um, I'm a man of God. I'm a strong believer in God. So I believe we all have a value. Each individual has their own value for themselves. So because I feel like I have a value, there must be a purpose beyond my own purpose. So whatever I've been feeling when my mom passed, that was going against the purpose of what I believe God had for me. So if I'm supposed to move in the purpose that he has for me, then I gotta be able to get past that moment. It's not saying that it was hard. Had to figure out how to adjust, how to pivot. But it's more important to just, get past that. How did I do it? Uh I think it's how I did it is prayer, fasting, and talking to people.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, gentlemen. Grown man. This was a great session here with Intellectual Radio. We're going to end this. And again, thank you guys for sharing your experiences.
J Rights, J Rights, and Nico, baby. Let's get it. New love, happy with the session, ups with the downs, but they never come down. I wake up early in the morning, put some breakfast on my stomach. Time to go get to the money, so I can make it for my mama. And pray my dad ain't gotta bury me. I know to y'all it's just a fantasy, but every day it's our reality. So please don't judge or get mad at me when we throw our hands up in the air, put our lighters up in the air, blow the smoke up in the air, middle fingers up in the air.